Hello everyone, I hope you're all having a lovely day. In this following tutorial, I'm going to be teaching you guys about Sweet Home 3D and how to use it. Now, are you a VTuber who has always wanted a 3D environment but you don't know how to use Blender, as in you don't know how to model your environment from scratch, or it seems too complicated and you wish there was a program out there that can easily make pretty much room models or gardens or basically any sort of environment that you want, but much more easier? Well, Sweet Home 3D basically does that. Think of it kind of like how it's sort of like Void and PMX Editor at the same time, basically. And you can kind of see, basically, from the website itself, it does look a bit sort of old-fashioned, basically. And it does kind of give that sort of PMX Editor vibe when you open the program, especially its editor. It gives that the sort of vibe because it's like sort of old, sort of themed. But even then, for a program that is old, it's actually surprisingly still getting updated. It recently had an update as of March, when this video is published, basically. So there seems to be updates still going on. I'm not sure when they'll stop updating, but it seems to still have some activity, which is really great. So basically, with Sweet Home 3D, you can either use the online version, or you can, of course, download the program itself, which you can download the program right here. And basically, there is a paid version and a free version. Now, the difference between the paid and the free version is quite, it's honestly not that extreme. So basically, with the free version, it comes with basically pre-existing 100 pieces of furniture and textures. However, if you do pay for it, it will come with a lot more furniture pieces if you want. Although even then though, I would rather stick with the free version, because on their website you can actually download free 3D models or free 3D furnitures here for free, basically. I will mention though that with Sweet Home 3D, the 3D models tend to have quite a bit depending on the furniture. Their copyright may be a bit strict, but I'll get to that in a little bit. But basically, I would click on this one if you want to download it. So you click on it, and basically on SourceForge, it should automatically be able to download the program for you. And don't worry, this is safe. I've tested this program many times. It works perfectly fine. But there is basically just that. And of course, Sweet Home 3D will let you know if there's any updates and stuff. But yes, this is this pretty much is based off of Java code, in case any coder is wondering. This is Java, it's a Java program, sort of, so in case you're interested in that. But either way, though, once you do download the program, of course, before I get into the program itself, I do need to let you guys know about the 3D stuff, basically. So, of course, there are plugins and tools. So, there are basically some plugins that you can use for advanced editing and stuff. I won't get into this stuff, but if you want some more advanced stuff, definitely you could check this out. Check out their tools such as the Furniture Library Editor and such, and the Texture Editor. These are basically what I meant by they feel like PMX Editor, because once you open these programs, you'll start kind of getting a feel for it. And they're in the Java format as well. That's if you want to check it out, but this is so that way you can actually import your own furnitures and your own textures into the program itself if you prefer to use Sweet Home 3D for your primary environment, modeling tool. But as for 3D models, we're gonna go here. This is where you can actually download different kinds of furnitures for you. Now, I will warn you, they are pretty much realistic based, so you can't really find anything that's really like toon-based style. You'll have to really do some heavy editing if you really want it to look more 2D or toon style looking, but for the most part it should be pretty I can't really say it's easy because it depends on your experience with 3D, but either way, there are libraries of 3D models here, so basically you can download these example zip files here. And also, like I said, please make sure to check for the copyright. For this one, you should be perfectly fine with this. However, for copyright like this, you have to make sure that you do credit. So please check out Common Creatives. They describe to you the copyright basically in the types, in case you are curious. I'll make sure to leave it in the description in case you're curious about that. But either way, you can download these zip files as a start. that you can use with Sweet Home 3D. However, there's also other sites as well, so you can check out these other sites that they provide as well. They even have ratings, which is pretty nice. And also, as well, they have a free models page here, which you can actually be able to visibly see each furniture part, so you can choose which stairs you want, which chairs. They have a huge library here. Again, please make sure you double check for copyright, because right here, as you scroll down, they are going to talk about the copyright, and they talk about Creative Commons. So please make sure you check it out. Basically, they'll tell you what you can do, what you cannot do, and all that, basically, so... please make sure you check the copyright before using, but other than that, you should be able to use any of these furnitures however you like, at least depending on the copyright, and it should be fun. And also, look, animals, haha. But either way, I just wanted to at least address that, so that way, if you don't want to model certain furnitures, don't worry, Sweet Home 3D got that for you. They also have tutorials you can check out here as well, some pretty great tutorials, user guides, frequently asked questions, and a lot of other stuff that could be beneficial and what you might like, basically. But with that being said, allow us to get into the program itself. This is Sweet Home 3D. Now, you're probably going to look at this program and be like, what the frick is this? Well, allow me to sort of give you a guide. Right here, this is your hierarchy. This has all your furniture parts, ones that you either install or the ones that pre-exist. So there are the windows here and the doors, and then there's bedroom parts here, and then bathroom here. They have basically pretty much just a start if you're trying to make like a simple house or a simple bedroom or anything like that. Like I said, check out the Sweet Home 3D website if you do wish to have more furniture parts. Again, read the copyright. But either way, before we can, of course, touch this stuff, there's also this part as well. This part right here basically tells you what parts are in your scene, basically. So it shows you your width, depth, height, and all that, which I will say, when it comes to this program, it's gonna feel like a bit like construction work. Like, you know how there's blueprints? Like, if you look up like house blueprints basically on Google, that's basically what the program is basically doing. It gives you that sort of vibe because, basically, primarily what Sweet Home 3D is best used for is if you're like, I guess, sort of have some experience with architect or something like that, basically building houses and all that. This program allows you to be super precise if you want to, but of course, if you are not like a mathematician or anything like that, or someone who's really into precision stuff, you could still make an environment pretty easy even without that knowledge, basically. Don't worry, but follow along. And then basically the bottom right here, this is your 3D view. So once you start building your house, you're gonna see your 3D view right here. There's the arrow keys here and all that stuff, basically. And right here, this is where you're actually going to build your place, basically. So basically here, you can be able to like make your walls, your floors, and put everything here. So this is where you're going to primarily be doing all your editing. And this is mainly if you want some more precision and want to make sure you kind of keep count of how much stuff you have. But either way, let's go ahead and start off with building our first ever floor. And also, by the way, there's a compass in case you need it, north, south, and east and west. But either way, we're going to start off with making our floor. So we're going to click on this button here, and of course there will be a pop-up message that'll give you a tip. So I do recommend please read the tips if you can, otherwise you can ignore it and that is perfectly fine, basically. But either way though, we're going to click on the floor button right here, and we're going to basically click and drag, and we're going to start making our line. So, like I said, just click and drag, and basically you'll start making your first ever floor. Just click and click. That's it. And then once you're done, press the escape button on your keyboard, and you just made your first ever floor. And as you can see, look at that. It's a freaking 3D plane mesh. Oh my god. But either way, the next thing that you can do is, of course, make walls. And also, by the way, as well, if you do need to edit stuff, make sure you click either the hand or the mouse here, and you can always do some editing if you so wish, to make sure things are like sort of fixed up if you want. But either way, here is also the wall. So we want to make a wall basically, and we're going to click on this button here, And what you're going to do is you're going to try your best to get as close as possible to the corner here. And you're going to click, and you're going to kind of follow the path of your floor, basically. Of course, if you want it even more precise, you know, fixed up, again, you could do that in Sweet Home 3D, or you could use your 3D program of choice. But either way, we just made a wall. And just press the escape key, and look at that. You just made yourself a box. A lovely box. Ooh. Now we're getting stuff cooking. Well, this is the beginning, though. But either way, so of course you can add text if you wish, and dimensions. I don't really use these options as much. There's also polylines if you wish, but I, again, don't really use this as much. But this is, once again, another tool that you can utilize, but I'm just playing around with this. But either way, we have just made our first thing here. Now, of course, I will say this as well. When it comes to making environments, especially if you're doing it for VTubing purposes, usually you do not want to really have a roof. Usually. If you do want to have a roof, there are ways of it. Of course, you can utilize the rooms here if you wish to make a second floor. But at least, I sworn there was an option where you can actually make a second floor and such, but I will see if I can remember that during this recording. But either way, me personally though, depending on the environment, sometimes you may not want to make a roof, but for me, usually I would actually make the roof in Blender. So I would make a plane mesh, I would flip the normals, and I would make a roof so that way, if you look up inside the room, like for a VR environment, let's say, the ceiling can be seen when you're inside the room, but if you are like outside like this, you will not be able to see it, basically. But that's just what I want to at least mention. But either way though, let's go ahead and start adding some furniture, basically. So let's say we want to make this into a bedroom, basically a simple VTuber bedroom. So what you're going to do is you're going to go into bedroom here, and you're going to click and drag the bed, and you're going to put it to where you want it. Of course, this can be a bit finicky to place, but of course you can always correct it. So you can either you can rotate it with this option here on the top, you know, the top left here, like that. You can either change its height, 3D view, check 3D view for reference down here. You can also change the scaling so it's a giant bed, and then you can also change its elevation so it's a floating bed. All hail the floating bed. Ooh. Anyways, either way, at least we have a bed to start with. Now, let's say we want to have a bedside, or like a nightstand or something like that. Let's just put a nightstand here. Look at that. They're so cute. And then, of course, you could put another bed if you wish, whichever you want. We can even put a wardrobe while we're at it as well. Let's say we want to have the wardrobe be rotated 90 degrees this way. So there's that. You can definitely do that with your environment. Add a wardrobe. And let's say, what else can we add? We can add, let's say we want to have a table. Let's say we want to have, I guess, this table right here. And we want to have an aquarium in the corner of our bedroom, let's say. So we're going to put an aquarium. Where is the aquarium at? Right here. So let's say that. So I'm going to rotate this here. And I'm going to rotate so you can see in the 3D view. And I'm going to put this on top. And of course, Sweet Home 3D will know if something is basically there. So it'll overlap it, don't worry. But yeah, look, an aquarium. And how about, let's say we want to put a plate in our room. Ain't that cute? Real cute. You can also even rotate it if you wish. Like that. This kind of feels like an Animal Crossing room, honestly. So you could basically do that, and what's another thing we can do? I'm giving you some creative ideas, basically. How about we can have a sofa in our room or something? I don't know. Like a nice little chill sofa. If I could just grab this, please. Thank you. Let's just say we want to have a nice little sofa right here, or maybe we don't want the sofa. We'll just press the delete key and change it to an armchair or something like that. You know, something nice. we can have it so that way there's 2 armchairs. So that way it could be like we can have peeps talk to each other, you know? Like something nice and cute, basically. Like that. There you go. Just something. I'm giving you just random ideas, basically. But either way, look at that. Ain't that cute? Oh, and one last thing, maybe, or maybe a few things. We can add a light to our environment, like a little light here, a lamp, or even a wall lamp. You can put, you know, wall stuff on your thing as well. See, wall. And of course, as you can also see as well, you see how there's the width, depth, height, and visibility as well. Again, if you want to be super precise, thank goodness this program allows you to be very precise if you so desire. However, if you are very simple like me, then this does not matter to you. You could actually just ignore this. And one last thing though, before, I'm going to add a door. So we're going to add this door right here. We're going to put it right here. We're going to have it outside. This way, this part will tell us this is the way the door will open. That's basically what this indicates for. So this door will be that way. And there you go. Look, you just made yourself a lovely room, basically. And of course, again, you can either rotate the door. Whoops. You can either rotate the door like this if you want. You can even change its height if you wish. And scale and the height and even elevation. So yeah, you could do whatever you want with Sweet Home 3D, depending on the furniture you want, depending on what you're thinking. Make sure you have a plan, and you can definitely have a lot of fun with this program. Now, we're looking at this environment, and what about the colors? Because these colors look kind of shabby, in all honesty. So how can we change up these colors so they look nice? Well, I'm going to say this right now. You could change the colors by importing this entire OBJ, you know, environment, and then you do your material edits inside of Unity. However, if you do wish to edit the colors inside Sweet Home 3D, there is a way of doing that. So, basically, which I'm gonna actually have to switch my mode on OBS real quick, so that way you can see my entire screen. So basically, just to make sure I show this properly, you're going to right click, and you're gonna go into Modify Furniture, which is Control E. And basically, here's where you can actually modify your stuff, basically. So you can either change its name, add a description, which I don't add a description, but that's if you want. You can adjust, basically do some mathematical stuff if you so desire, or keep proportions, whichever you want. You can even change it where it's either shiny or matte. I usually change it to unchange. And basically here is where you can actually change the color. So you can either add a texture, basically, which they have pre-existing textures here, which is pretty nice. But if you just want to change the colors, you can definitely change it here. Let's say we want to make this into I guess a blue sort of bed, basically. And voila, we just made a blue bed. So basically, this is where you can change the colors. You can even modify the materials if you wish as well, which is actually a lot more precise. So while the color one is more simple, this allows you to be a lot more precise on your color stuff. So you can say, I want this to be blue, and you can have it where the pillows can still be white. Or you can have it as red pillows, or whatever color you want. Ain't that cute? So yeah, pretty much, that's a very good thing about it, that you can be very detailed on the color stuff. Again, you can even have it where each of them have like a texture, I guess. Where this one can have a sky texture, I guess. So it's a sky blanket, I guess. But either way, you can do what you want, mess around with the settings and such, and voila, it affects the changes here. You can even do the same thing with the floor as well, where you can even basically modify it. So you can say modify rooms, so that way you can even have it, so I can actually display ceiling right here, and I can actually have it so the floor can have beige tiles, and it'll replicate, it'll do that. It will also, let's say for ceiling, I want it to be, let's say we want it to be some bricks, I guess. And you can even change the wall colors as well. So we can change the walls to be, let's say, stone, I guess. And voila, there you go. just something like that. And also modify rooms. Basically, you can mess around with the settings if you wish, or just add color however you want it, basically. It can be finicky sometimes, but honestly, this is pretty nice, and you can do what you want with the room, basically. But this is just to start off with. Pretty much you can go extreme with this program if you want. But yeah, this at least is a start, basically. Of course, there are other things as well. You can lock base plan, which is pretty nice if you don't want to, you know, click and drag your room away, but you still want to add your furniture, so you can do that. You can delete, you can copy paste, mess with these, you can even reset elevation, all this other crazy stuff, basically. Or you can even add a level as well, which these levels, actually, now that I realize, allows you to actually have multi-story houses. So if you want to make like a 3-story house, you can. Although for VTubing, I would not personally recommend it unless you know what you're doing. So if you're a beginner at VTubing or just 3D environments or 3D in general, please stick with just one floor level. But if you know what you're doing, you can make multiple floors however you want, but try to be careful with it. But you can make multi-story houses and all that, basically. So yeah. But either way, though, that's pretty much the basics you really need to at least get started with Sweet Home 3D. Of course, there are other settings here that is, you know, fun to use or play around with and all that, but those are the basic settings you really need to get yourself started. Another thing also, by the way, which is really cool about Sweet Home 3D as well, is the viewing here. So you can either have aerial view, you can even have a virtual visit, which is a little finicky. And then there's also a modified virtual visitor, actually, as well. Actually, I can even move it here. There you go. There you go. Look at that. I am actually walking around, basically. So this kind of gives you, like, a feel, like, to see, like, okay, if you were in a VR environment and you want to see your furniture, how would it look like? So this is pretty nice. So, virtual visit, you can modify your visitor to make it tall and such, and so on. So this is pretty good. Or you can create photos and all that. So this is really great. But we can change it back to aerial view so we can see it like this. But that's a really cool feature, though. Pretty great if you're trying to set up rooms for VR stuff. But yeah. Now, the other thing as well, also make sure that you do save it as the Sweet Home 3D format. So I'll just save it. And I'm going to go ahead and hide my information here. So I'm going to just call this test. Simple. And of course, pretty much the simple stuff. You can even edit your preferences if you wish. You can set to different languages such as Japanese, French, Spanish. Pretty much the languages here. So that's pretty great. Apparently there's currency, but I don't know why that's a thing. This program is very detailed, but either way though, you can definitely play around with settings, but I personally do not mess with them. That's if you want. I'm just kind of touring some of the features that may interest you, whether you are a simple user or you're probably a more advanced user with stuff. But yeah, pretty much though, with Sweet Home 3D, you can actually, you know, once you're done with your environment, you just go to 3D view, you export as OBJ, gonna hide my information again, and just click on save. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Now, I can actually load Blender, and watch this. I'm gonna go ahead, and I'm gonna go File, I'm gonna import, I'm gonna go to OBJ, gonna hide my stuff here, gonna import OBJ, and then give it some time to process, which, there it is. It's going to be pretty big though, but yeah, that's pretty much how you will import it to Blender, and also the ceiling exports, that's actually great. That's good news about the ceiling. But either way though, of course our environment is a bit too big. So you might want to probably scale it downward. I would recommend, if you want to make sure it is perfectly suited to your avatar, make sure you import your VRM model. So I'm going to go ahead and import my VRM file, or at least I'm going to import my friend's model. I'm going to import my friend Fizzy's model just for demonstration purposes. I'm going to do that. So give it a moment to load. And I'll show you basically about the whole scaling stuff to make sure that your environment matches your character's height and such. Because if you don't do this, and you are doing this in VR stuff, it's probably not going to work well. But yeah, you can see how the room is very massive compared to Lil Fizzy down here. So you guys scale it all the way down, basically. And do some, of course, adjustments, basically. So set to the center and all that. Go into here, and I might want to scale it even down. Actually, I would go to Object, Apply Transforms. That way it's a lot more easier to scale it. And voila. There you go, you can be able to scale it so that way your environment will match your character's height basically, which is pretty nice. Voila. But make sure you apply your transformations here. Simple as that. And once you're pretty much done, you can actually delete your avatar, basically. I'm going to try and delete the avatar here. And basically that's pretty much it. You can actually then export this mesh, your environment, export, file, export, FBX, save it to wherever you want. I'm censoring this stuff again, so much censor. So you can basically take this environment to Tracking World, VNyan, VSeeFace, whatever program you so desire, even Warudo as well. Now, of course, as of right now in this video, I have already made a Tracking World tutorial on how to convert your environments to Tracking World, and I've already also made a VNyan tutorial on how to convert your environments to VNyan. As for VSeeFace, I don't really recommend it. But if you so desire, I would just say you can put the environment connected to your root bone or hip bone of your character under VSF avatar, and it should work fine. Even VRM also works as well, but honestly, I would prefer, if you want an environment user, use Tracking World or VNyan, or maybe check out Warudo. Of course, I do have plans on making Warudo tutorials, just a heads up there, but either way though, you can also do some refining as well, so in case there are some spots that you may have missed, if you know your way with 3D, of course, definitely you can do your edits here and all that, and do some corrections if you so wish. But Sweet Home 3D is definitely a program that is really great for beginners who want to at least make some starting environments, basically, just to start off with. And I will say, yes, they can, you know, the environment I made right now does look really ugly, but it will take a lot of time to make it look really good, because environments, they are really time consuming to do. It's not just, you know, setting up your room and stuff, but it's also making sure the walls are set up properly, your furniture is set in place, the coloring, the textures, and basically making sure also the shading as well, because after you take your environment, you put it to Unity, and you're ready to convert for VNyan stuff, you also gotta worry about its shading, whether you want toon-based or hyper-realistic or semi-realistic, whichever type of style you want to go for. But either way, that's really up to you though, on what do you want to do with Sweet Home 3D, as I can't really go on a case-to-case basis. But either way, you do what you do. You have fun with this program if you so desire. If by any chance you don't like Sweet Home 3D, I sadly, as of right now, cannot really have any other alternatives to Sweet Home 3D. I'm sure there are programs out there, and there probably are some websites as well. Once again, Sweet Home 3D has a website where you can kind of make your environments online. There are other places you could check out where you can make your 3D environments online as well. I don't know of any names, but I've heard they exist, so if you prefer something other than Sweet Home 3D, check it out. They do exist. If by any chance you really want to go down the 3D path, there are some Blender plugins you could check out that allow you to create much more easier environments. I think it was called the architecture plugin for Blender, I believe. I don't remember the exact name, but it is built into Blender itself though. So highly recommend check that out. But either way, let me know if you have any other questions. Do keep in mind, I'm not really a super tech savvy, as in I'm not like a coder. I'm not like really precise in like perfect mathematics or perfect precision, basically, if that makes sense. I'm not sure how to describe it. And also I don't know a crazy amount of Sweet Home 3D, so I would recommend, if you have problem with Sweet Home 3D, you can either check out the website's tutorials, or you can Google tutorials about Sweet Home 3D, and also practice using Sweet Home 3D and mess with it. Again, there's Blender, there's Maya, there's many other programs depending on what you want to do with Sweet Home 3D, whether you're a VTuber or you're just doing this for another reason, like, I don't know, animation purposes. But that's my disclaimer, at least. You can definitely ask me questions about Sweet Home 3D, but I will say there are gonna might be some questions I may not answer though. But either way though, I hope you guys have a lovely day, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!